Chandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 834. I'm joined by a really special guest. She's talented, inspiring. Her name is Tessa Barrera. She's a talented sports radio host for 94.5 The Buzz. You can find her in Houston on iHeartRadio. She does great stuff covering sports and other things. And she is the co-host of the Rod Ryan Show. We're going to get to all of that. And first of all, Tessa, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. And like I said earlier, you're such an inspiration. How are you and your family doing?
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. 834 episodes. That's so amazing. That's a lot of hard work. I don't think people appreciate that. So thanks for reaching out. Thanks for having me on. And everything's good here. The weather's been a little crappy, like thunderstorms off and on. But other than that, life is good. I have no complaints.
Yeah, so I want to start off with your childhood growing up. And when did you start getting interested in doing radio? And what like, take me back to your process. And do you have like a role model in this industry?
Okay, so I was always a super talkative kid. That was never a problem. I always got in trouble for talking. I always got moved for talking. And then just from a young age too, I was very competitive. My mom put me in basketball at like 5 years old. Wow. So basketball was always like my main jam, right? And I went and played my first game, and apparently like I stunk it up because I remember my mom going with me to play after like the game. She was like, we pulled over and we go to this park, and, you know, she's dribbling and she's like, you know, if the ball's right there, like, why don't you just go take it? You know, like she basically, my mom taught me how to be more aggressive and to play defense. And I always remember that. And she goes, and don't stop. She goes, they can't stop you. She goes, you don't play until the whistle, you know? And that's a lesson I learned, like play to the whistle. I learned that. I mean, I couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 years old. So I always am appreciative of that. And my mom has 5 sisters, and they're all very competitive. They all grew up with each other, and 2 brothers. And I should mention my uncles, of course, but there was always this huge sibling rivalry with my tias, with my aunts. And it was just so fun growing up with them, because if you wanted to be heard, if you wanted to be known in the family, it's like, use your voice and fight for it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And would you say that your mom was your biggest role model in your life?
She is in so many ways, and because we really grew up together, and she was a very young mom, and there was also a point in time where her and I did not get along like at all. I had to go stay with my grandma, or I would go stay with my aunts. But I realize now that I'm older, it's because we were so much alike. So yes, definitely a big role model for me. Along with, you know, if I had to name someone in the business, you know, I love Robin Roberts. I love Soledad O'Brien. I love Real Sports. I've always loved HBO Real Sports. I still record that show to this day.
Oh wow!
And really, just anyone that can tell a good story. Jeannie Moose, like from CNN. Like, I don't really watch CNN, but if it's a Jeannie Moose, I follow her because she used to always just run amazing. We call them packages in the business. So yeah, any package she would put together, I would always watch.
All right. All right. First of all, before we go any further, I love your background. I'm a big Cowboy fan too. So are you a Dallas Cowboy fan?
I am. Can you cuss on this radio show?
You can. You're allowed to say anything on this show.
Okay, I get so much shit for this, okay? Here in Houston, it's be someone. Obviously, I'm a Rockets fan. I'm an Astros fan. I am even a Texans fan, but this is my birthright. This is the team that, you know, my family has followed since I was little. Sometimes I've even tried, because I've gotten so much crap for it since a young age. Yeah. I would try. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be a Cowboys fan. I would watch the game and be like, I'm not going to root for them. And it's impossible for me. I hate it. Yeah.
No, I'm in the same boat. I get trash talk all the time being a Cowboy fan. So I'm a huge Cowboy fan. I bleed blue and silver till I die. Cool. So, yeah. So I want to
nice.
So I want to ask you though, take me back to your high school, and what were the main things that you learned in high school and college actually that got you to the point where you're at today as a radio host? What were the main things that you learned as a radio host or covering sports in high school and college?
Well, I always knew that in high school I was never going to be the biggest or the tallest or anything like that. I'm 5'5". No matter how much you love a sport, sometimes you're just at a physical disadvantage, right? But I always knew that if I showed up to practice, hard work, like our team actually in high school, we would go to the semifinals or the state finals every year in basketball. We had a really great Coach Dunlap, and he would do this really cool thing that if you worked really hard and you had a pretty decent game, like he would let the interviews be rotated because the news was always coming to our gym.
Right.
And I always thought that was so cool. Like the day I got to be interviewed, I remember Alan Harwell from Channel 6 came and he asked me the game plan and stuff like that. And I thought that was so cool. Like that would be so cool to be on the other side of it. Plus, we watched the local news every night. My grandma, from a very young age, I knew all the newscasters. They're like local celebrities. So I always thought that was a really cool job, but I never really thought, I don't know, like the news people were always like so glamorous, like they were such glamorous people. So I didn't really put myself in those shoes. I went to college and I really kind of fucked around. I have like 1 million credits in college, but I didn't finish. A lot of people think I have, this bachelor's in communication. I don't. I left college to go play lingerie football, which is like a crazy, stupid decision. But I'm so glad I made it when I was younger because it afforded me, one, a look into like the real world. Like, hey, like bills aren't going to pay themselves. You can't just go off and make these crazy decisions. Like you kind of have to really have a game plan going. So I went off and I competed and did all these crazy things. And I kind of, I didn't have a degree. I didn't have, women in sports, they can't really make a career out of it. So that league I was in paid me a little bit of money, but not enough to really sustain myself. So I came back to Corpus Christi, where I was born, which is about 3 hours south of Houston. And I kind of had to go back to the drawing board, and figure out what I was going to do. Luckily, because I was kind of a standout athlete in high school, there was this guy, he was the program director for a little affiliate, a radio affiliate, ESPN 1440 in Corpus. And he said, hey, Tess, I saw you're back in town. If you want to come down to the radio station and kind of see what we do down here, that would be really cool. And if I really think about it, that was my foot in the door for everything. He was so cool. And just because he knew I loved sports, that I had gone off and played football, and that, I was kind of really a chatty person, he was like, let's see how you do. And he kind of threw me into a show with 3 other dudes. And our show was called The Benchwarmers.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, yeah, you can totally come talk on the radio, do all this stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. It paid so little. I mean, it was nothing, but it was fun. And I knew that I had a passion for kind of doing this sports thing. Well, it wasn't too long before the local news kind of got wind of some of the stuff I was doing. I was on a competitive reality show with Stone Cold that, when you're in a smaller town like Corpus, stuff like that, kind of people hear about it. So the local news did a story about me. It got a ton of traction.
Oh, wow.
And they invited me in, and I was like, man, I would love to intern. I would love to intern at the station just to see what you guys do. And the GM there said, no, what about if we just made you the sports girl? And the news, so it was a double lead. So it was a CBS and an NBC affiliate. And the NBC was like the A team. They got all the good stuff. They got all the good equipment, all the good microphones, all the cameras, everything. And KZ was kind of like the stepchild of the station. It was losing money. They weren't kind of turning a profit. And I really think him putting me as the sports anchor was like the Hail Mary, like we're either going to sink or swim with this chick. And it was a really big ask for someone who didn't have a ton of experience. And I thought I was going to go in and I was going to just dress cute, and they were going to write my script, and I was going to read it, and it was going to be all gravy, and I learned very quickly. They gave me a camera, they gave me a tripod, they gave me a microphone, and they were like, go cover the sports. And I'm like, what? In the Texas heat? Are you kidding me? But I did it, and it was frustrating. I made a ton of mistakes, a lot of them on air. It was embarrassing. A lot of people thought that, who is this girl? Like this random chick doesn't know what she's talking about. But even on Facebook, the messages would just be oh my God, this chick doesn't know what she's talking about. But I did know what I was talking about.
Right.
And I knew that. And I knew I could write because I had won several essay contests, writing competitions. So I knew I could write. I just had to learn how to write smarter for the news, like really concise, really quick, like the opposite of how I'm being now. I'm being so long-winded and talking a lot now, but just straight to the point and boom, boom, boom. And then, the Hooks, the Astros minor league affiliate was there in town. There was a D1 basketball team in town, and just really seizing those opportunities to go, where no one else kind of had access. And I learned how to do it. And, Alan Harwell, the guy who interviewed me in high school, he actually ended up being my coworker, and he was kind of a tough son of a gun. Like, he was rarely impressed with anything I did or whatever, but I watched him and I picked up what he would do and kind of gave it my own flair, because one of the freedoms of being on this station where maybe is not so popular, you can have this flexibility. You're not so uptight and, buttoned up as this A squad newscast. I think people kind of think of anchor people like that, a little buttoned up. But I just said, okay, green light, go. This is the Tessa show. I'm producing it. I'm shooting it. I'm writing it. Let's make this really fun. We ended up getting some great sponsors, some great advertisers. And it was really, the ratings were great. And I mean, I could probably go back to Corpus Christi. Well, that GM's not there. But I mean, in my fantasy, they would have me back because we had such a good time. We left on great terms. I ended up working there for 5 years. And it was phenomenal. And eventually I did actually get to do, news and coverage for Channel 6. So it was basically, I call that my grad school, even though I didn't technically have a bachelor's degree. I call that those years in the trenches, which were, exhausting, but also very satisfying to kind of cover this local community that I had grown up in. I mean, what a huge blessing, right? Even though it was like the hardest thing I've ever done. So that really gave me the skill. I put together a reel. I had some opportunities to try out with ESPN. I sent ESPN my reel on Twitter one time, and they're like, hey, we like you. Would you like to go? I visit Bristol twice. I auditioned for some shows that never came to fruition, but they looked great on my reel. Right. So, I've been very blessed. I think, I've had luck, opportunity, and I've been prepared for some of that opportunity and not so much sometimes, but that's really the nature of the business. And I was in TV, and then I took a job in radio in LA, and people were like, why are you going back to radio? I'm like, man, that's kind of my roots. That's kind of where I came from. And it was just, and it's Los Angeles, it's a top market in radio. How could I not? And it was a little part-time gig, but if you work hard enough and you pick up every shift, which is what I did, I would pick up the night shift. I would pick up the holiday shifts. I think I saw my family one time the whole time I was there, and they went to go see me because I couldn't get away. I think once an opportunity like the Rod Ryan show came about, it's like, hey, I have a case here. You got to let me interview. I've been doing everything that you guys say. I've been doing everything right. Let's see how this works out. And it panned out. And I've been in Houston now for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in October, and I'm just relishing in the moment. I'm loving it.
We love stories like this, and Tessa, like I said earlier, you're such an inspiration. You're a hard worker, man. That's an amazing story. And so this is a two-part question. So how did you channel like all the negative comments that came to you? How did you try and channel that out and staying focused on your task? And the next part to this, how did you balance it out with all the work they gave you in the beginning? But like you said, it prepared you to get to where you're at right now. But like, explain to me, how did you challenge the negative comments out, and how did you balance it out?
Well, the negative comments were really hard, especially the first time. Now, as you get in this business for more, it's like your skin just gets thicker and thicker, and the stuff that would have made you cry in the beginning, it just really rolls off, because you realize it's kind of a them problem, not a you problem. But in the beginning, I was insecure because I didn't have a ton of experience, and I was like, are they right? But I knew that I could prove people wrong. And that was that's the competitive spirit in me. That's where I think anyone who's an athlete knows It's like, oh yeah, that's what you think of me? Okay, well, I'm gonna actually show you that that's not the case, and I'm gonna make you eat crow. And that was really a chip on my shoulder back then. I don't feel like I'm like that now. Now it's like I want to be open. I want to be open to feedback and things like that, because now I know what I'm doing as far as the writing, and I've worked with talent coaches, things like that. So I'm not very shaken like that. But I remember in the beginning, the comments were just so cruel, and my mom would go, she'd be like trying to defend me. I'm like, Mom, stop, you're embarrassing us. But you have newsroom angels, is what I call them, who say, hey, like, keep your head up, they don't even know that's the nicest thing anyone said to you all day. So really attaching to the good, and really good at just letting go of the bad and saying, you may think this of me now, and it's fair. What you're saying may be fair right now, but if you give me some time, I can work on it. Like, I can make you a fan, and not say, ha ha, look at me now, I'm so good. But like, okay, what town are you from? Oh, you're from a 50-minute town away that no one's ever gone out and done a story on? Okay, I got you. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go town by town to these outskirt places and see these people. Not only am I from here and I know what I'm talking about, but I care. I give a shit about what's going on here. And you're gonna see that. On the weekends, if there was an MC opportunity or just a place to show face, a raffle, a barbecue, I went to it. I wanted the community to see me out, and I wanted them to see, like this chick, maybe I was wrong about her. And I did it, I think, in so many ways. I mean, there's not a day goes by that someone from Corpus is like, we miss you here. It's like, I miss you too, but you low-key hated me. But I'm glad they don't anymore, because the love is mutual. I have so much love for my hometown of Corpus, but just like any community base, they want to make sure you're the real deal. They want to vet you out, that you're representing them. So that's a huge deal. And I feel like the city of Houston, it's just like, I'm among my people. Like, I'm among my people which if I had to describe, it's like the most caring, and they will help you, and they will give you the shirt off your back, and they will help you raise money, and they will feed you. But don't come in here with that bullshit, because they will also check you. I love Houston so much. I feel like, I mean, it's always been a part of me growing up as well. Just, it was always the big city, which is so great to be living here now. Yeah. And then, as far as the workload in the beginning, it was just it was not a lot of sleep, and that's okay, because I was, in my 20s, and you need sleep when you're 20s, that's when you can go.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, what's the experience like so far working on 94.5 The Buzz, iHeartRadio, and also being the co-host of the Rod Ryan Show? And I've seen a couple of your guys' episodes, and it's amazing. And so what's the experience like so far?
It's really fun. It's really early, but it's like you wouldn't wake up for it if it wasn't worth it. This is a show where I finally feel where I can be my true personality. I can be silly. I can be opinionated. I can be stern. I can even be bitchy if I am, feeling that way about a certain topic. And it's also my chance to keep people informed, because a lot of people, especially now in the climate, a lot of people are turned off to any regular news. But if I tell them a couple of headlines, hey, this is what's going on in the world, this is what's going on in Houston, here are a couple of entertainment stories, let's have some fun. It's kind of, it's a mix. It's a mix which works really well. And then we throw in music and our personalities, and people seem to really appreciate that. We play games on air, which is like, not a lot of jobs you can come in. It's like, okay, what game are we playing, or what bet are we making, or what is someone doing? Hey, we got to make a TikTok. Hey, we got to, do this and that. So I feel super lucky in that aspect.
So obviously, I'm sure you guys, when you were covering sports before the pandemic started, obviously it was fun to go in person in the stadiums, covering the games and interacting with players and the fans. But obviously last year we went through a struggle with the pandemic, sports shutdowns, and nothing to watch, and we don't know what was going to happen to all of us. And for you as a host, radio host, and Obviously, you guys must have utilized different platforms like Zoom, a lot of Zoom meetings, I'm sure, for you. And what have you learned from the past year, from last year till now, as a host? And now, and then eventually, finally seeing sports back and fans back in the stadiums. But what did you guys learn from last year till now?
I learned that the city just doesn't vibrate the same when the fans aren't in attendance.
Yeah.
You realize that especially sports fans, I mean, we are so passionate, we're so crazy. I was glad that I had gotten out to Astros games, UFC events, basketball games. I mean, there wasn't, if there was a ticket, I was going to be there. And I just realized that that's an integral part of my lifestyle. Now, we could always talk about other things. It was a lot more sad news. Sports is the one thing when you go interview people, it's not sad. Like, news is hard because news is when bad things happen to good people, and you have to go talk to those good people about the bad thing that happened to them. Right. Sports, I realized, is like, it's just this underdog overcoming story. People need that. People really, really need that. So I think just a greater appreciation. And it's like, even though the Rockets were so bad and basically tanking towards the end, I was just glad that we could go see them again. It's like, okay, we'll get them next year because we're going to be open next year, right? So I think just a huge amount of appreciation and gratitude now that things are finally getting back to this normal.
So obviously when the sports shut down and we were locked down, do you how often do you work on the radio? Like what was your schedule like when it came to the radio shows and all?
So actually on Rod Ryan's show, our guy Alex is the sports guy. He is the one who will give, okay, first pitch at this time, we are this number in the draft pick, and he's kind of giving them. I do trending every hour, so those are when we'll talk about, oh, did you see Simone Biles? She made the Olympic team. Oh, did you see the umpire who was trending on Twitter because he was making terrible calls? And me and Alex will have this back and forth, but he's really our go-to. He's our point person. That's been hard for me because Rod will ask him a sports question and I'm like, excuse me, I would like to add to that. Also, it's like I'm got to throw my 2 cents in there too. But the guys are great and they let me. And I think because they know my background, they're like, all right, we'll let her say her 2 little cents.
Yeah. Huh. So I want to get to an important topic here, women in sports. And obviously I'm a big advocate of women in sports. We have three females actually on our team helping us out with this show. And for you, what's it like seeing yourself and the females I have and Becky Hammond and all these reporters out there getting a chance, and Kim Mang, the first female GM in baseball, Sarah Thomas, the first female to ref the Super Bowl, and you can go on and on down the list. What's it like seeing the growth of women in sports now?
Well, the fact that we can go on and on down the list now is, I think it's like this nod of solidarity, like about time kind of thing. It's like, thank you, but also it's about time, So I think that as for myself, I was the first Latina sports anchor in Corpus Christi. And I just feel like growing up, it was always the guys. I can tell you all the guys, sportscasters and anchors that were on there. And I just think how cool for young girls to kind of look and see, hey, no, this chick looks just like me. And this chick, but I kind of want to pull that in a little bit because yes, representation is so important. But if you don't see someone being the first, then that just means you have to do it. So if there's an area where you're not represented, for whatever reason it was, maybe the politics weren't right, maybe the system wasn't set up, go break the barriers, go blaze the trails, go knock it down. And anytime I interviewed a woman who was in a maybe male-dominated industry, they didn't want to talk about their gender. They wanted to talk about, like, yeah, I belong here. Like, this is, of course, I belong here. And once you get there, people might try to take it away from you, but those are those same people, those are the naysayers that you got to let roll off, because really, if they could do it, why aren't they?
Right. So, what actually, what was it like being the first Latina female breaking the barrier in that station that you were with?
It was so funny because I didn't even realize it. My mom was like, I think you might be like the first one. And I go, you think? And she goes, I think we should check. I think we should, because it's once it's done, it's like there's no fireworks, there's no thing. It's like, oh, it's here we are. Okay, great. And it never was like me walking in, I am the first Latina sports anchor. It was never like that at all. It was just like, this is great. This is amazing. I see little girls, the population in Corpus Christi is the majority is Hispanic. And I just think what a great time for these young girls to see, like, hey, if you want to do it. Now, I do also wish sometimes that my path was a little more traditional. But again, like I say, you go where the opportunity is. You have to seize it. You have, if I would have backed down because I was scared or because the work was too hard or I couldn't do it, I don't want to take away what I put in myself. I had to learn to edit, write, script, all these different programs that I didn't know. And granted, I would have maybe had a level up, but there's nothing like the chaos of a newsroom. It's like you have to jump. It's like the lion's den, and you either go in and you get eaten or you come out stronger than you ever thought. Yeah. So yeah, it was great. It's great. One of the most challenging but gratifying experiences of my life ever.
So what this is a two-part question again, and what would you say your most memorable event you've been like that you covered, and most memorable interview you've done in your career so far?
So when I was first starting, I got to interview Nolan Ryan, who out of all the, athletes and stuff like that, he's just like a legend, right? And I never really, I interviewed Carlos Correa, who, when he was just, a rookie and drafted, and I made such an ass of myself because the first question you ask, say and spell your first and last name. And that's for like little high school athletes, but I had such a habit of it. So the mic turns on and I'm like, say and spell your first and last name. And he's like, Carlos Correa. I was like, oh my God. Like, did I really just make Carlos Correa say and spell his last name? Oh my God, what a jerk. Like, but he was so cool and so nice about it, and very, very handsome, very handsome. And so but that didn't make me nervous, like even messing up like that. The Nolan Ryan, meeting him, knowing, his contribution to baseball and the league and just Texas in general, I was very shaky about that. That was amazing. And I would say second favorite was the Final Four had gone to San Antonio and we were going to cover it. We weren't going to cover it. And I said, hey, are we going to send anyone to San Antonio? He said no. Then the day of the Final Four, there was like nothing going on in Corpus. And I told my GM, I was like, it's 2 hours up the road. Like, I will pay for the Airbnb. He was like, you know what? No, we'll pay for it. We'll get you a hotel. Go. Take a photog and go. And I was like, yes. But he was like, but you don't have credentials. But I was like, no, yes, I do, because I put in for them a while back. So that's what I try to tell people, like, act like just act like you're going to go, act like you are going to go. Even if you say no, you'll be ready to go. You'll be prepared. And so we went and we covered it. And yes, the Final Four and all of that was amazing. But there was a dunk contest down the road. And one of our guys from the Islanders was there and he was expected to win. Now, I didn't have credentials for that. So I was like, oh my God, I really got to get in there. Like, this is my guy. So we go and I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm the Corpus affiliate. I'm the CBS NBC affiliate down in Corpus. Like, our guy is probably going to win this thing. Like, can you commit? And they're like, no. And my photog is like, come on, Tess. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, just let me freaking think, He's like, they said no. And it's just, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, look, you stay right here because your negativity, like, I cannot. And he's my boy, we're teammates, but he was just not saying what I wanted to hear. And so I went back, same girl, same guy at the front. And I said, look, I'm going to be in a world of trouble if I do not get in there and get the footage of this man winning your dunk contest. I said, I'm not talking about someone who's not going to place or anything. I'm saying this is our guy. This is like our hometown guy. There's a whole city of people that are going to hate me if I don't get in there. And they're like, what was your name again? And I'm like, Tessa. And they go, hold on. I mean, I couldn't have been more of an annoyance to them. I was like, I got in, And so I come back and my photog's like, you ready? And I'm like, are you ready with our little passes? I'm like, are you ready to go in and like be a hero right now? It was one of the most electrifying nights. We got the live shot. We got the coach. We got everything that we needed. We fed it back to both stations, everyone. And it's like this proud moment for Corpus because it's like, we're up here on ESPN competing. He won the dunk contest and we just didn't take no for an answer. And I was just so proud of that because that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's like me, I can't slam dunk, but like, that's my version of a slam dunk. So I felt great. That was the best.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. So outside of the work you do right now, are you working on anything else on the side?
So not every football season, since I've been here, football in Houston is so competitive and there are so many athletes that are going to be D1. They'll play at the collegiate level at the big schools. And a lot of NFL talent will come straight here from Houston, the 6A schools. So I knew I wanted to be a part of that. I was actually a sideline host for the high school games here on Cube TV. So I would be able to go out there and basically have a sideline pass to watch this amazing competitive schools go at it. And these are like college teams. I mean, these are bigger than JUCOs. The stadiums out here, they're freaking incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Even in a COVID year, it was insane. And so I do that in the off season, and that's kind of like a hobby, and I get a little bit of reimbursement for that, but I secretly think I would do it for free. Don't tell anyone, because I just love it. And it's so fun. And it keeps me fresh with the camera and sideline hits and going live and having that IFB in your ear. You need the reps. So I'll hopefully do that again this football season.
Yeah. So we do this fun little segment called the rapid fire segment. But before we get to that, what advice would you give to young girls or young kids that are trying to reach their goals and achieve their dream?
Just don't give up. You can't give up because you only don't reach them if you give up. Mm-hmm. And don't take no for an answer. I thought that last story was a great example of that. And I would say, put your head down, work hard. I think a lot of kids right now, it's something that I kind of envy. It's like, well, I'm not going to work a job that's making me miserable. I'm not going to do this because it's hard. There's a lot of good stuff on the other side of that if you give it some time. So I would say, be patient with yourself. You want all these things immediately, as did I when I was young, but the really, really good stuff takes time. And I'm the most impatient person in the world telling you that. So it's hard, and you'll see other people get opportunities and get shots and gigs, and you got to clap for them, because when it happens for you, you want people to have positive vibes for you. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. So are you ready for this rapid fire segment?
I mean, I'm a little sweaty, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, you got this. Come on. Kawhi Leonard's laugh or Kevin Hart's laugh?
Oh, Kawhi, 100%.
So explain your experience in that football league you played in. What was that like?
Really competitive, really crazy. My knees still hurt from it, but we won 2 championships in LA. So we're the best ever. No one can tell me otherwise. Anyone that plays now can suck it.
Yeah. All right. What's a scouting report on Tessa as a basketball player?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can get you riled up. I can hound the other person's best player. I'm not afraid to guard anyone. We'll get in your head. We'll also probably foul out.
Are you a party woman? When I am. On the off weeks, you go partying?
Notoriously haver of fun. It's like my job. Yeah. I have to. Hot girl summer. I know everyone says that. I know it's so played out, but it's happening. We are in it.
So I want to actually, since you're a Rockets fan, obviously they had a down year. What was your reaction when they traded James Harden to Brooklyn?
Well, I was upset at Harden because I know he had spent a lot of time here and I know he was frustrated, but our team literally took their pants off and bent over for him and said, "You can do what you will with us." And he was like, "No, I'm good." And I think it's just karma that a lot of all four of the teams in the playoffs right now have someone that we traded trying to just appease him and keep him. You have Tucker, you have Beverly, you have, you have kids that there was so much potential there, and they're going to get a ring before him, and I think he deserves it. Now, I love James Harden. When he was here for us, I was rooting for him. But again, it's like good things take time, and we circle him around with new people. At some point, it's like, dude, you might be the problem, like for real.
So I'm just curious. I know you have more insight than anyone in Houston. Why do players want to leave Houston now? For like George Springer left Houston. Deshaun Watson.
George Springer's injured now, and and now the Astros are the best team in baseball, and now our team is doing it despite everyone talking mess, talking noise. That, to me, we love that because that's a reflection of our city. We're resilient, and we might be down, but we are never, ever, ever out. And you can come to Houston and get this work anytime, anywhere. You can bang on a trash can. Like, their pitchers are crying because they're being called out for cheating. So
I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm still kind of. But no.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're good. But no, but I was gonna ask you though. I'm just curious though because obviously Springer left and Deshaun Watson wants to leave Houston. James Harden left Houston. JJ Watt's gone, and then Hopkins gone, and then Carlos Correa can leave potentially this year. What's going on in Houston? Why all these stars want to leave Houston now?
Well, I do think they should have offered something to Correa. I feel like Correa is like a face of baseball. Like I said, I've never interviewed a nicer man. I feel like he has his shit together as far as being like a family-oriented dude. His wife's expecting now, but he's playing like he wants a paycheck. And I think the Astros still have a chance there with him. It was like this mass exodus. The Texans, they were falling anyway, with or without JJ Watt. JJ Watt has done so much for this city. He continues to donate so much. And I know this place is a part of his life. And I know in the way he tweets and everything that he says, I know he misses the city. He's over there doing God knows what for a team that's not going to be in contention. That's fine. You called your shot, whatever. Now, as far as Watson, he's in a whole mess of trouble. The Texans are continuously making bad management choices. Deshaun's on another level of trouble right now if he can't prove his innocence. And you got to believe people, but you also can't accuse people. So that he is in the middle of the stickiest situation right now where all of us, no one can say anything. We have to sit back. We have to wait till more facts come out. I wish all the best for him. But at the same time, it's like, we got to go, and my vested interest in the Texans, they have made such terrible decisions. It's just so hard. I'm like, guys, I know you guys get mad because I'm a Cowboys fan, but like, come in, the water's fine. It's not amazing, but it's like lukewarm. And Dak, he's back from this injury. Yep. He's our guy. He's a stand-up dude. Did you see how everyone rallied around him when he broke his thing? Mm-hmm. That's a good-ass dude. So say whatever you want, injury prone, whatever. He's at minicamp. He's at OTAs. Yep. So come in, the water's lukewarm.
Let's go. How about them Cowboys? Speaking of those Cowboys, I had a couple of former Cowboys on the show before.
Oh, nice.
I had Barry Church on the show, Aiken Doyle, and a couple other Cowboys. But do you think we can? Obviously, Dan Quinn is now the new defensive coordinator for us. Mike Nolan was trash. Do you think we can have a better season now since everything's new here for us?
I think that we've always had a pretty clutch offense. I think we've always, some of our plays really get annoying. Like, I wish there was a little bit more misdirections and stuff going, but we're talking about defense. I think that is one of the elements that we're really missing. I mean, I think we have guys up there in the front and, our middle linebacker, Van Der Esch, he's very good. Hoping he can go injury-free this season. I think he's an ultimate leader. I think there's potential. You can nothing is ever a lock in football, which is why it's the greatest game in the whole world. Yep. But I think I'm not having a meltdown about them yet. So far, so good.
Funniest person that you work with right now?
Myself.
Yourself.
I'm
You're funny.
absolutely
You are funny.
the most hilarious, charming. No, my coworkers are hilarious, and they keep me in my place, and they let me know every day that I am actually not funny at all, and that I should take my dad jokes and humor somewhere else, and that's fine, and I will, and I do.
You're the most beautiful one on there. So.
Yeah.
So all right, what would you say your uh most memorable show you guys have done? Most memorable one and most funniest show.
My most memorable one was the first day I got there. We did Dare Dice, and they made me eat a block of Spam, pumpkin spice flavored Spam, and it was disgusting, and I was gagging, and I didn't finish it, and they said I ruined the game on my first day there, and I didn't care because I smelled like pumpkin spice ass, and it was terrible. That smell was singed in my nose for like the whole rest of the week. It was disgusting. And then funniest show. So we do actually a lot of 9 o'clock on Fridays. We'll just start drinking, and I get buzzed really quick, especially in the morning. You haven't had a ton to eat or anything like that. And I could not speak. Like I was trying to give traffic reports. I was trying to give the news, and I just like put my mic towards Alice. I'm like, you do it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. I hate it here. So those are always fun shows. I'm trying to think of I don't know if the funnest show has happened yet. Like everyone is always like, they're just getting better. They're just getting better, which makes me so happy.
All right. What are your thoughts on the NBA playoffs so far? I got the Suns. I'm still holding out hope for the Hawks. I got the Suns and the Hawks in the finals.
So I did live in LA for about 3 years total, and I was broke. So of course I went to Clippers games, and I was there when Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, all of them it was the Lob City. And I just think it's so ironic, and it makes me kind of pissed off that Chris Paul is like playing against the Clippers right now because he couldn't do a damn thing for us when like I was cheering for him. I don't stay up. The games are on late. I have to wake up at 3:30 a.m. So I don't even stay up to watch the fourth quarter. If it was the Rockets, I would stay up. But I'm like, I wish I cared more. And I'm almost envious of these bandwagon fans. Like, everyone's a Suns fan now? Everyone's a Suns fan now? Okay, Devin Booker dates Kendall, and he's hot, and you guys are all Suns fans now, girls. Okay, okay. Good for you. You've made your informed decision. I'm a Rockets fan. I'm not going to miss my beauty sleep for maybe the finals. I'll miss some beauty sleep, but I turned it off. I honestly hope the Clippers win because I just feel like they are the stepchild of LA. They were for so long. It's all about the Lakers, and it always will be. But I think the Clippers, doing their thing. And then I love Tucker. I love Beverly. Those are some OGs for me. So I'm going for Clippers, and they probably won't win, but that's okay.
I mean, do you think they can come back from 3-1 down?
If Paul George plays like that, yeah. Yeah. If they had Kawhi, I think they would too. But a lot of people are saying, George, it kind of does better bearing the burden. I think when I see them matchup for matchup, I think the Clippers are better. I think they're better. I think the refs have sucked the past few games that I've seen. So if the refs can call it right and they can match up like they're doing, and Devin Booker keeps choking and he takes off his mask and he puts on his mask, yeah, I think the Clippers can win.
All right. Favorite food, favorite music, favorite club in Houston?
And favorite food, it's got to be anything seafood. Like I die for crawfish, crab legs, oysters, East Coast only. I know. And then favorite music, when it's not obviously rock and alternative, because that's what I listen to at work. I'm going to BuzzFest, going to see The Offspring, POD, stuff like that. But I really like country music. That is the one Texas thing about me. People are like, really? You? Like, people think I listen to rap, which, I mean, I vibe. Like, I can vibe. I get it. But take me to a dance hall. I can two-step. Yeah. I love Texas country. I love floating on the river, listening to Texas country music. So that's probably my favorite music because it just reminds me of home. And then Best club in Houston.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like to lounge. There's a lot of like beer gardens. There's a lot of breweries. I haven't found like my favorite club. You know, if I really am being honest, I go out to Austin a lot, which is fun because it's very weird and it's a scene out there. But best club in Houston, you know, I haven't found it yet. I haven't found my favorite yet. So too early to decide.
Interesting.
I do like you know, breweries and stuff, Carbach and, you know, all the little Houston has a ton of good restaurants.
Yeah.
It's kind of all about the restaurants.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
I love them all. I've gained like 15 pounds since I moved here.
You look good. Don't say that. You look
I'm not, I didn't say I didn't, but I'm saying I've gained 15 pounds and it's like the Texas 15. And I'm like, I earned that. Like I had so much fun gaining this weight. It was like crawfish, you know, beer, you name it.
By the way, the first guest I had on before you today, he said crawfish too.
Oh, it's delicious.
I don't know. I don't know if I can get the hat trick. I got one more episode tonight, so if I can get the hat trick, it'd be fun. It'd be funny. But
I'm gonna message him. I don't even know who it is. I'm gonna message him.
But yeah. So for you, what's it like sharing your story and your actually your story on each platforms like this? And I don't know how many interviews you've been on, but what's it like sharing your story on different platforms now?
I mean, it's great because I'm a motor mouth, obviously. I have a lot to talk about. I love talking about myself, but that's like the one subject I really know. So I'm very comfortable. And I think it's important to keep the conversations going. Media, you know, we talked about it on our show today. People say radio is dead, radio is dead. This is a version of radio. This is a version of, you know, media. This is what keeps our world in movement. So sharing podcasts like this, you know, interviewing people, letting them know, and, you know, sharing the insider secret, this is important. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And the last few things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. And he's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking and making sure the community stay safe and the kids stay safe because it's still horrible out there with human trafficking. So I'll send you the page so you can go check it out.
I'll share it and I will make a donation of at least $20 if I can help. Okay. That's what I can pledge. It might be more, but I'm holding myself accountable for $20 as of right now. That's what I can.
That would be amazing, Tessa.
Yeah.
Last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm forever, ever, ever grateful.
Yeah. Well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 834 with the talented, beautiful, stunning Tessa Barrera. She's a sports radio host on 94.5 The Buzz, Houston. And you can find her on the Rod Ryan Show, iHeart Radio. Find her everywhere. Follow her on all social media formats. She's the best. And thank you again, Tessa, for joining the show. You're such an inspiration. Keep up the great work. We would like to have you back on the show so you can meet the full team and keep going. And you stay safe.
You as well. You as well. Keep up the good work, and I'll chat soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, guys.